Appreciate you being here. I'm always like... we have a lot to talk about today, but first just want to do some quick welcome remarks. First, I want to thank the Entrepreneur Center for being our 2025 venue partner. They host us the third Tuesday of every month, so huge thank you to them and to Trey, who works with me very hard and deals with me. So you want to talk about the EC?
Yeah, for sure. Not to you're right here. But yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm the membership and facilities manager here at the EC. But what we do here is we want to make Nashville the best place to start and grow your business by increasing the likelihood of success for entrepreneurs. And we do that in two different ways. So for one, we have our membership. Membership is going to come with things like our advisor network, startup curriculum, member discounts on startup tools, co-working space, meeting room space, and just a vibrant community of like-minded entrepreneurs. Then our second avenue we have is our program accelerators over here. So you're going to see these banners over here. So two are going to be for industry agnostic, depending on your business stage. So it's going to be takeoff for those that are ready to launch their business, in flight for those that are ready to grow and scale their business, and then we have 20 Day for Founders of Color, Project FinTech for FinTech founders, and then Project Healthcare. But if you want to learn, well, let me also highlight applications are actually open for all of these accelerator programs until June 30th. So if you're looking for a curated experience to accelerate your business, probably would be a really good fit for that. So check those out before June 30th. And if you want to learn more about that, I can connect you with our VP of programs. But besides that, thank you all for being here, and I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So as I mentioned, we have events here every third Tuesday of the month. So there's a list here, and I can make sure to send that around for you when we're finished. I also want to give a huge thank you to our speakers, Robbie Goldsmith and Josh Ellis. And we're going to talk all about you guys soon. So you can hold on your bio sec. Little fun game, if you will, for anybody who tags Hang On Health in Instagram or LinkedIn. You will have a chance to win a $10 Amazon gift card. The more times you tag us, the more entries you get. So June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. We had a Mental Health Awareness Month for everybody last month. This month is June. And so I thought I would just run through a couple statistics that are really important for us to know. And as far as mental health awareness goes, I also think it's important to remember that it's not just awareness of yourself, but awareness of those around you, friends, colleagues, parents, significant others. And so you can just keep that in mind as we talk about these things. So these are just general stats. If you were here last month, you probably heard some of them. I'm not going to go through all of them. Real quick, there are 33 million small business owners, and 75% or 25 million are concerned with their mental health. Employees with inadequate mental health miss 4 times more work. 77% of founders refuse to seek qualified help. 81% of founders hide their struggles, and more than 50% hide their stress from their co-founders. And then lastly, I've always found this statistic really mind-blowing. In general, there are 340 people for every one mental health professional. On the men's side, men actually account for 70% of suicides worldwide. 19% of U.S. men experience any mental illness in a given year. 4.5% of men had serious suicidal thoughts in the past year. Men die by suicide at 3 to 4 times the rate of women. So while men try to cover it up even more so than women, obviously not a good idea. We need help. So a little bit about Hang On Health. First, I want to welcome our new intern, Denton Sensing. Want to come up? Yeah. This is Denton's first summit session, so I wanted to have him introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Denton Sensing. I'm a senior at Belmont, studying entrepreneurship, and kind of got really interested in the space. I started a lighting business in high school, and really kind of got the drive just to find something you're passionate about and build it up and got connected.
The lighting business was Christmas lights?
Yeah. It was like these wire mesh balls that you might have seen in Dopamine before we did a lot of stuff. But yeah, and got connected with Tina this summer, and excited to be here. So thank you.
And then a little about me. So Hang On Health is my third startup. I grew up in South Jersey, went to school in Philly, was in DC for 10 years. Had a very successful career there mostly in state and local lobbying world. I was a partner at a multi-million-dollar lobbying firm. Made great money, was on boards, decided that DC wasn't for me anymore and I wanted to move to Nashville. And have loved it ever since. Bought a brand new house when I moved here. And all of that I say because it leads into my next part of my story is that when I left my DC job, it was right during COVID, or right before COVID, and so I couldn't find anything else at the time. And so I decided, well, I'll start my own sales marketing consulting firm because that's what I've done my whole career is business development. And it was going really well. About 9 months in, I was a fractional CMO for a client. I had 6 contractors on retainer, 2 employees. I had her at a $30,000 a month retainer, and she just blackballed. So she didn't pay her July invoice. So now I'm out with 30 grand, and I have all these contractors to pay, which then completely tanked me. And being so type A, so attached to my identity is my career and my success, and having that happen is just never something I thought would never happen to me. It then turned into depression, turned into suicidal depression, turned into a year later being diagnosed as having bipolar 2, and I've had ADHD since I was a kid. So I started Hang On Health based on my own experience as an entrepreneur, that it's really hard, it's really difficult. It wasn't until I started telling people, here's what happened in my business, oh, and here's what happened with my mental health, that people were like, oh, I've been there. Oh, I've not wanted to be here as well. Call me if you have that, if you feel that way again. Or my business is struggling as well. And I thought, wow, I don't feel so alone now. And there are other people struggling, and maybe I can help them. It's something that we don't talk about. So enter Hang On Health. So I'm sure we're all familiar with these. The 3 reasons or 3 challenges that we all face as entrepreneurs is isolation. Everybody always talks about how lonely it is. You're uninformed. I had really great care. I was very lucky that I had great doctors and got access to the right medications and an amazing therapist. But I realized afterwards that I didn't really know the science behind things, and I didn't really have enough resources. And when I went to try and go learn those on my own, it was so difficult, took up so much time. I don't know who's credible. And so we're really uneducated on all the different ways of mental health, how it works, behind the scenes, the science and so forth. And so that's really one of the things that I want to help everybody here understand, get more education. And then the third piece is that you're fearful. So you don't want to fail, you don't want to let anyone down, you don't want to let your family down. And we just live in this constant state of lonely and fear. So Hang On Health provides education and community to entrepreneurs in order to improve their mental resilience. And again, we do that through education and community. We have some events, obviously. Here you're sitting at one. And at the end of the day, you're here to help you invest in yourself, which then is an investment in your business, and help your business become more successful. So, let's talk about Robbie and Josh for a second. Introduce our entrepreneurs here, speakers. Robbie has a really great long bio. He's founded a couple companies. We'll start with Hustle Media,
like this.
Robbie Experiences, and then Silverbelly Whiskey. Look who's here!
Oh my gosh. Get that out of here.
Distilled for Alan Jackson. So we wanted Alan to join us today.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's my boss. My boss is now here.
Yeah.
Nice stash.
So there you go. He's going to keep an eye over you.
I love it.
But most importantly, what Robbie's really known for, well, okay, let me back up.
Yeah,
The
well-
first thing you're really known for is you were one of the first people to start the EC, however many years ago.
I was on the original crew. Yes,
Yes.
correct. I had Trey's job wherever Trey went. Trey, that was my first job here. Was what Trey does now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have Robbie to thank for this space and this amazing community. But what Robbie really does best is bounding and
Oh
the
my
lead
gosh.
star is Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Blast from the past.
You want to quickly talk about that?
No.
No. In my previous life, so I'm the guy that gets blamed for building the Bachelorette phenomenon that's happening on Broadway. I just saw the trend coming, and it led 5 years after we started it to a TV show on CMT. It was a one-hit wonder. Actually, it was a no-hit wonder, but it was a one season and done. It was the last TV show CMT ever made, and it was a very interesting experience. But I'm sure at some point in my life, actually now we'll look back and be like, because you can still find some of the episodes online. So like people that are in my life now that didn't know me then will be like, what is going on? So it was crazy. Yeah. So
If
yeah.
you remember it coming out, that was pretty legendary.
Yeah. I think I ran into like 3 people ever that were like, that's my favorite show. Like 3. Yeah. So
That's good.
yeah, a couple FaceTimes with their friends, and I was a Z-list celebrity.
Well, thank you for all of your hard work and contributions to the community.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what people say. We appreciate it.
And then I'll let you tell your real bio in a second. Josh, I didn't have anything to roast you for.
Good.
So is there anything you want to call yourself out on?
No, just figuring it out.
Okay.
No TV shows.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we get into talking about you guys now?
Sure.
Okay. So, Robbie, why don't you start with your bio? Tell everybody a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago, born and raised there, went to University of Tennessee, left University of Tennessee, moved to Nashville like everyone else does, started working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, that was my first job, did the management trainee program in Brentwood, Franklin, Cool Springs, left there in 2011, started volunteering at the Entrepreneur Center back when it was just on Broadway. So we were where Gavin DeGraw's bar is, Nashville Underground, on the 2nd floor there. That's where the EC was originally, and it was there because the flooded that building in 2010, and that space became available. Met Michael Bertram, who was the first CEO of the EC. Started volunteered for 6 months, setting up rooms like this and doing coffee and all that kind of fun stuff. And then Michael fortunately hired me in 2011, late 2011, early 2012, just as this place was opening, right before this place was opening. Was on the founding team here. At the exact same time, I saw this phenomenon of these small groups of girls coming to Nashville, and guys, and at the time, me and my girlfriend lived downtown, and we'd be out at the bars back when the beers were still $4, and they'd be like, hey, where do we go? What do we do? What are the fun bars to go to? So we'd help them. And me being an entrepreneur always, I would say, go here, go there. And I was like, there's gotta be a business here. Someone's gotta be doing it. No one was. So that was kind of my first business. Started that business, and we essentially built it from 0 to $1 million a year selling bachelorette parties on Broadway, but we did it using Facebook and Instagram ads before everyone else was. So naturally people would be like, hey, can you do that for my small business? We started doing the kickball leagues in Nashville. We started doing stuff for some other, and that kind of grew and grew. Fast forward, as you guys saw, we had a TV show on CMT that failed. That show left me personally about $180,000 in debt, trying to risk it all, pushing all the chips in. And in the backside, while I was dealing with that, the other company, the marketing company, was kind of taking off because all my friends were being like, can you do our marketing? Can you do this? And so that's Hustle, my second business. And that started to grow. The Bachelorette company went away, ended up selling it for pennies on the dollar. The marketing company started to grow. I started doing marketing for a bar on Broadway called AJ's Good Time Bar. I just happened to go to college with a girl named Maddie Jackson, Alan's daughter, and they liked what the bar was doing. Then they said, hey, can you come consult and do some marketing for his next album? We don't think these kids at Universal Music know his brand very well. At that point, the digital department there was very young, I guess. I said, sure, this is great. Well, I'm sitting in a meeting there, and underneath the table is a empty whiskey bottle. And I'm a whiskey connoisseur. Also, our agency is launching Terry Bradshaw's bourbon for the quarterback, the NFL quarterback. So I knew a little bit about it, had some connections, and I said, well, what's going on with that bottle down there? And she said, well, before Alan retires, he wants his own whiskey. And I said, okay, well, they're doing a deal with certain different companies. And I said, well, if that ever falls through and that doesn't work out, call me. 6 months later, I'm literally riding in the middle of the desert with my mom on a side-by-side ATV, and I have service, and she calls. I'm like, well, either the bar burned down or or it's something whiskey related. And she called and she said, hey, our deal fell through. Can you do it? And I said, let me call you back tomorrow. And called our ex-partner that night and said, hey, you guys want someone a little bit bigger than Terry Bradshaw? And they said, who you got? I said, Alan Jackson. And they said, yeah, absolutely. Whiskey and Alan Jackson sounds like a good plan. So that's kind of the backstory of Silverbelly, and I know we're going to get to some mental health questions, so I'll get into all that. But yeah, so now I find myself as the CEO of a growing whiskey brand here, and that is literally my boss, which is kind of a cool story. And I'm just a blue-collar kid from Chicago who, when I left college, my parents said, good luck. I'm proud that I've built myself and literally get to be partners with that guy and work for that guy. So it's a blessing every day for sure.
That's awesome. I think I knew the highlights of all that, but I didn't know all the details of it.
Yeah,
And we've known each other a long time.
Long time.
I'm Josh Ellis. I'm born and raised in Nashville, technically Franklin. So I've been here all my life. When I decided to leave Franklin, I decided to not move too far. I moved 20 miles up the road. I grew up in a entrepreneurial family. My dad owned a handful of car lots in Franklin. So at around 14 or 15, I realized that I wanted to learn as much as I could. So I spent all my days after school, summer, weekends, working on the car lot. And his goal was just to take me through all areas of the business, from customer facing to the detail side, rented me like an 800 square foot shop, and I started detailing, put a sign up, and that was kind of the first feeling of doing my own thing, was detailing cars. I probably shouldn't have been doing some of the things I was doing because I was learning on the go, but I just kind of got that early taste of what it's like to wake up every day and serve something bigger than yourself. And I knew young that I wanted to eventually serve my own mission, create something. And I saw that through my parents. Alluding back to the flood that Robbie mentioned, in 2010, there was a flood in Nashville. You could take boats down Broadway. I mean, 65 was underwater. It was not like a flood we've ever seen. In Franklin, the Harpeth River weaves all throughout. And so I remember that day of just the car lot slowly going underwater and us carrying titles with water up to our chest, and pretty much just had probably the first dramatic moment of my life of just kind of watching this business literally go underwater. We didn't recover from it, and I got to see almost the shadow side of entrepreneurship, the things that I think people don't talk about. I got to see it firsthand, and I watched my parents lose everything, lose the houses, and then eventually get divorced. So it was a real witnessing a moment of the true power of what business can do, but also when not managed correctly, how it can actually have a massive impact on us when it doesn't go the way we think. So I got out of Dodge. I was like, all right, I'm getting out of Franklin. At the time, Nashville wasn't what it is now, but there was little undertones of some energy, a lot of creativity moving here. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I was 18 years old, and taking over the business all of a sudden just disappeared in a moment. So I think at that time I had, to give you a visual, my hair was to here, I had my ears gauged, a nose ring, a lip ring, and I was like, I got to go make money, and I'm not going to go to school. I learned early that my learning style was not sitting in a row under a bunch of lights being told what to do and then being tested to see how I complied. For me, it was working on a car lot. It was hands-on. And so there was that feeling of almost like rebellion against going down the college route. I'm going to figure this out. And I kind of harnessed that energy. And somebody was like, man, you'd be really good at selling insurance. And I laughed when they said it. And a month later, I bought 4 or 5 suits, cut my hair, and 19 years old at that time went into Liberty Mutual as the youngest sales rep in the country, the only hired employee with no education, like college education, and went in and started making really good money. It was fun. Everybody needs it. I hated what I was selling, but at that time it was a little bit of I need a connection point between this family business failing and figuring out what I'm going to do next. So I did that for 3 or 4 years. I think the gift and blessing out of that was that I was working next to who now is my wife. So I kind of see that season as I needed to go through that, and I use that almost like my education, if you will, but making money. Started coming to the EC just to put myself around this energy. I think in 2000, when did this open? 14?
12. This
Okay.
spot in 12.
So about 2014, 15, started hanging out here, and at the time, there wasn't as many real estate agents in this town as there are now. And I'm like, I could do that. Like, I've sold cars, I've sold insurance, like those only mean so much to people. And I was like, all right, I'll get licensed. So got licensed in real estate, and immediately just, it clicked. I understood it. At the time, I grew an Instagram account to about 80,000 people. It was Nashville.tn, so a lot of people were coming and
I forgot about that.
posting things to do, but then every now and then I drop a really cool like house that I like, very mid-century, and then I get a bunch of DMs, hey, we want to see this. So I really built my whole real estate business in the beginning just utilizing posting photos on Instagram when not a lot of people were.
Do you still have that?
Well, Nashville TN is a huge account. Mine was Nashville.tn, and eventually I still have it, but I don't utilize it. So went down that road for, I mean, I'm still licensed and I still do some stuff here and there, but about, 8 or 9 years. And then one day, somebody hit me up on the Instagram and said, hey, I just moved to Nashville. I don't know anybody here, but your name keeps coming up. Would you love to get coffee? So we went over to Pinewood Social, sat down for coffee, and I remember asking him this question. You know, we're talking, et cetera, and I just was like, if you could wake up every day and do something, what would it be? And he's like, well, I've run bars in St. Louis, out in Southern California. I just moved here. He's like, I love running bars and using unique ingredients and botanicals and like not just serving someone a drink, but actually like creating an experience and then connecting with that person at the bar. And I could just see that to him, it wasn't your dreaded bartender type of, you know, experience. His was like, he loved the craft of it. I never thought I'd see him again. It was just kind of like, hey man, good to meet you. Like, if you need anything, let me know. We went separate ways, and on maybe 3 months later, I was having a birthday party in my backyard. I love, my wife and I love hosting. We always, like, any reason to have people over, we did. And I said, this was June 7th, my birthday, so last week, but 2016. I call him up, I'm like, hey, do you want to come over tomorrow and just bartend in the backyard for my birthday? We're gonna have like 50 people. And he said, it's too short of notice, but right before he hung up, he said, you know what, just give me your address, I'm gonna bring something over, just don't worry about the cocktails. Like, I'll do something. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, hey, this guy's coming over, I just met him once, just let him in, he's pretty cool. So I get home before my birthday started, and there was this table set out with all these garnishes, a bunch of ice molds, and like these mason jars that had like handwritten letter or words on them. My last name's Ellis, so one said Ellis Island Old Fashioned. Another one had floating rose petals in it, and it was like a gin or vodka cocktail. And one was a mule, and he couldn't afford to buy me the liquor, so I bought the liquor. And he had all these mason jars out, and that night we had kind of this magic moment with our friends where we're all drinking these incredible cocktails made with incredible ingredients. And I remember 3 things happened that night. Number 1, I was like, these are pretty fucking good, and I can't make a good cocktail. Number 2, I noticed that everybody was like, it almost became like this party moment where people were like, try this one. And I'm like, look at everybody, no one here knows how to make drinks, but they're all making them, and the feedback's incredible. Then the third one, most important, is as a host, everybody enjoyed a drink, and I didn't have to make one of them, and I didn't have to worry about making one of them or know how to make them. And that's when I called Bradley, the guy that I met for coffee, and was like, I know we've only met once, but I just filed an LLC and put you on as a member, and I put $1,000 in a bank account. I think we should figure out how to take all your recipes, put them in a bottle, and sell them to people like us that love hosting, that want a good drink at home that's actually made with fresh juice. And so we started a company called Kindred Spirits that day, and we went from knowing each other after one meeting to being co-founders and starting a beverage company in Nashville, which was later changed to WithCo, which stands for With Company. So it's always really been about that gathering moment, and outside of doing a little bit of investing in real estate here and there, that's really what I've been doing since that day. Up until 2020, we were kind of just doing it out of the trunk of the car, just selling to friends. And then in 2020, I left real estate and took the leap and was crazy enough to just go full time and see what happens. And COVID was the best thing that could have ever happened to us. So there's a little bio.
That was pretty risky, having a co-founder that you've really only met once.
I'm a good read of people, and it just felt right. I knew that the way his mind worked was very much on that side, and the way my mind worked was a little bit more on like, all right, let's take this thing and connect people and create value, and it just worked. So.
Match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So, to the mental health side, you've both built big businesses, very consumer-facing, creative. When did the emotional mental health struggles start for you? Let's start with you.
I think for me, so the part of my story that I left out, which is critical to who I am as a human. So 30 days before my TV show started to film, they had a filming date, and our producers were the same producers as Jersey Shore, if that gives you any blast from the past, to MTV. But 30 days before the TV show was supposed to start filming, on my 30th birthday on vacation in Michigan, my dad died together. So one day I'm 29, about to turn 30, my life is changing, I'm about to be on a TV show, all this stuff is about to erupt in my life and my mind, right? Next morning, my dad's cooking me breakfast and just dies. Like literally falls over, heart failure, like, boom. And granted, we're in the middle of nowhere, so it's me, my mom, my girlfriend at the time, and just, so 1 minute I'm riding high, I'm about to be a TV star in my mind, right? Next minute I'm performing CPR on my dad and can't save him. So my life started changing that moment, and that's, it is, everything happens for a reason, I truly believe that, but I would say that was the start for me of a lot of life shifts, good and bad, where it was the first time I had to think about what's going on up here, because until that point, I was my parents' golden child, I was a hockey star, I was a golden child. I never had to study. I just got it. I just got everything, and I was good. Like I'm still like my girlfriend's like, it's annoying. You win at everything. I'm like, it's just. But that was my first L, my first major L in life, and I was like, oh shit. Life comes at you hard and fast, and I wasn't prepared for it at all. So I think that was the moment for me that everything just started to change.
So then, what were the signs that you realized things were changing?
Oh, I mean, for me. I started having really bad health anxiety. Somehow mentally, I took his heart. So it took me 3 years to be able to work out again. I couldn't go upstairs without having a panic attack. It was just this weird thing, all while I'm filming a TV show where they're shoving alcohol down your throat and you're trying to do things for camera. I was living on 2 Xanax bars a day for months.
That was when we met.
That was when we met. And it was a very tough time, and I started to just, it really took a toll on me. So I took the whole gamut, turned to booze and women and all that kind of stuff, and but yeah, it was just, so that anxiety was just in me, and it was because I didn't know how to cope with what had happened and the trauma that I had been through. Because in my mind, it was just, it hadn't hit me.
Yeah.
It was just, it was like my body was still in some type of emotional shock, and it lasted a long time.
So you didn't acknowledge it, you just suppressed it.
I couldn't. I had to go film a TV show. It was like, dad dies unexpectedly. They pushed the show date 3 weeks, so I'm at home for 3 weeks, funeral, back to Nashville 2 weeks later. Hey, see you at 6 a.m. for makeup. There wasn't like you can sit there and you can't. I couldn't go on a trip. I couldn't do anything. So so the best thing that ever happened to me was the show being canceled. Like I just wasn't in a place in life where I could enjoy it. I couldn't deal with it. Still this day I don't remember it. Like I don't remember. I remember it, but I don't like.
You were in like survival mode.
Right,
Yeah.
100%.
And your mind and your memory just kind of fogs over and goes away.
Yep.
And that's such pure, or the epitome of being a business owner, that life doesn't stop.
Right.
Like no matter what you go through, so you have to know how to handle it in advance.
Yeah.
How about for you, Josh?
I learned later on that a lot of stuff was in there, stirring, and it hadn't surfaced yet. And when it surfaces and it starts to rear its head, I think that to me is one of those true tests of where do you take it. Mine started rearing up, I guess, and when COVID hit, everything really went wild for us. It felt like a dream come true. All my friends that were losing their jobs, the next day we were throwing them in the warehouse just to pack orders, ship bottles. I think before COVID, again, I was coming off of this relatively successful real estate career and then sold a piece of rental property and said, I'm gonna take 50 grand, put it in an account and live off of this until this company makes money. And at the end of 50, if this company is not working, then I'm gonna put it to rest and go back to real estate. And my commitment was to fully quit real estate. So I went home, told my wife, I said, hey, I'm gonna quit. We should live off, sell this rental property next to Topgolf and go all in. And she's like, let's do it. It's the only way we're gonna know. I think I got down to about $4,500 left in that account, and everybody was, had to stay home. And we were probably doing $5,000 or $6,000 a month as a company. I'm like, it was a full adjustment to go from what I thought was working well to like, all right, I'm literally going to start from scratch. So things went pretty wild. I mean, I think we hit $1 million and some change over the course of 6 months from doing about 50 grand a year. So a lot happened very quick, tons of mistakes. But I felt high as a kite. It felt amazing. It was like, this is working and let's just keep going. So then it was more employees, more fundraising. And at that time, it was relatively easy to fundraise because I had that conviction inside of like, hey, this thing is a rocket, jump on. And at that time, I was able to separate that feeling of somebody I know, a friend handing me 100 grand, handing me 200 grand, 300 grand. And it felt like it was moving so fast that it was just like, let's keep raising money, let's keep hiring. And I think I attached to this identity that the bigger it can be perceived by others, the better I'll feel about myself and the better the company will look. But for a while, I didn't know that that was a way I was operating. So it was just bigger at all costs, burn cash. There was really no like discernment radar of decision making, and because I'd never done this before, I just knew that it's moving, just hold on. It was probably in about...
And that part is really thrilling, the chase of all
Absolutely.
of that.
I mean, that's the dopamine cocaine rush that I think is the seductive nature of entrepreneurship. It's like, whoa, it's actually bigger than I thought it would be so fast. And before I started going down kind of my healing journey, back then I just thought this feels good and I know it looks good. There was a bit of that ego, right? And as I started going down that journey, I started feeling more and more disconnected to who I was. But you start to push that down because your business is doing what you want it to do. There was a moment in 2022 where it wasn't a death, and it wasn't like this dramatic thing. It was all of a sudden I just felt, I don't think I made this quote up, but these words all came together and they've been real ever since. Is everything I ever wanted looked different when I got it. So everything started working only to get it and go like, man, that is not how I thought it was going to be. And more times than not, we're let down by what we didn't think it was going to be, then we're surprised by it being better. So I'm looking around this office with all these people. I'm seeing that we're losing $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month, just burning cash, raising more. And then it started manifesting itself a little bit more physically. Started getting sick easy. My immune system was a wreck. My nervous system was out of whack. And I started just noticing myself suppressing and coping. But I was able to justify it because the company was growing. So that shows up in the terms of just isolation, loneliness. Obviously, I'm in the alcohol space. So lots of drinking, and it almost got to that moment where I was like, nothing is worth feeling like this. And so I started like seeking out community, and I found just a group of guys. One of them was my boss at Liberty Mutual, funny enough. And he invited me to some group therapy with about 9 guys, and I go every Thursday. And I think that was the first kind of entry point to not being in it alone, because every Thursday I got to come and bring all my insides out with people that weren't going to try to fix me, change me, or tell me what I should do. They just sat with me. It wasn't like, hey dude, your dad died, but bro, time will heal.
Right.
You don't need me to say time will heal. You need me to sit here and go, hey, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, I'm here. So that was kind of my first, I guess, entry point into like, man, I think the aha moment, if I was to kind of put a title on it, is if I can do all these things externally to try to feel and heal something internally, it's never going to work, right? If I can make enough, if I can be enough, I think what I used to say is, if I can get X, then I will Y. And we all have those things. If I can marry this girl, then I'll be happy. If I can lose this weight, then I'll be happy. And I got so fixated on changing the external to change the internal until I realized I was kind of living in a self-induced illusion. And so I went down that road, and I knew the first thing I had to do is get the company healthy and start showing up in a community where I could start talking about the things I was experiencing. And I remember on the company side, it was, let's cut everything unhealthy. And it's really weird in a company when you start chopping your revenue down dramatically. It actually feels the opposite of what we're supposed to do. It feels wrong to say, hey, we're doing this, but we're going to cut it in half and get healthy. It's like using your other hand to throw a ball. You're like, no, this is not right. But every time we started getting healthy, things started changing in here because I was no longer carrying the weight of just scale at all cost. The therapy was amazing. And again, like I said, it wasn't like anyone was there teaching me how to feel. It was just that doing it with other people. Like I've done one-on-one and I'm like, no, I'll take group all day. I'd rather sit with different people, hear different perspectives. Started going out to Wyoming every year to a retreat where there's no cell phone service, no Wi-Fi, and just started seeking rest and peace and regulation over medication. That was a big thing for me. It's like, we can self-regulate, we can self-heal, and we do not need these things on the exterior world to affect how we feel on the inside. And so for me, it was just that journey of exploration. But it was around that time, like, it's funny when I say it all out loud, to think that growing the company is actually the thing that actually made me have to go seek my own help. But wasn't that what I was wired to do, or born to do, or told to do? And I think I just had to start asking myself, at what cost? And when I really looked in the mirror and asked that question, I was like, none of this is worth it if this is how it feels. So that's what kind of led me into, obviously, the last few years of, I would say, dramatic changes, asking different questions, and then ultimately now in a place where I'm wanting to share what I'm learning with other people, because I know that they're in similar places.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have two questions to that.
Yep.
Especially at the EC, in the startup world in Nashville, so much capital is being raised, and even when I was starting Hang on Health, I said, well, I want to get in with the VCs and private equity so that I can help those founders with their mental health. And somebody said, don't waste your time on VC. They don't care. They just want their money back. I'm like, oh, okay. So you having investors, how did they feel about, starting, breaking it down to be healthy again, plus you kind of taking that time for yourself?
I think I got lucky in the fact that I haven't had an investor call me since the day I started fundraising. And I think that's because I chose to raise with people that were investing in Josh Ellis, my heart, my character, my integrity, and they thought this tastes good. Mm-hmm. But it was this first. And if I could go back, I would have done it the same way, which was spend more time with people that love you first. Now, granted, there also becomes later, like what I'm experiencing now, a level of codependency around like needing to make some changes, but prioritizing them because they love me. That can feel like a trapped feeling, if that makes sense. Like, I need to see whatever WithCo looks like through because these people believed and trusted me. That can be healthy and unhealthy because I'm going to probably make decisions by prioritizing them first. So there's a level of like that friends and family that, though it's like your organic reach, and then you have to sell less because people are investing into you. It does come with its challenges, but I think I've been blessed that no one's calling me wondering, how are we looking? How are things going? And I think that, in some ways that's good, in some ways that's bad. We got to the point where the company was going through such rough patches that my conviction to raise money actually went away. My ability to sit down and sell Robbie on this bright future no longer felt like something I could do with truth and honesty. And so the only thing I knew how to do is, hey, if we are only surviving by fundraisers, then why don't we get healthy and actually start growing off a profit? And I know to this day, if any investor wanted an update and heard me share it in that way, they would say, thank goodness for that wisdom and that discernment, because the road you were going, we understand that you made the right change at the right time. And this is coming off about a year and a half ago, not Alan Jackson, but Dirk Bentley found out that he was actually the biggest WithCo fan I've ever met in my life.
Not bad.
I've never met anybody as obsessed with that, with WithCo. As Dirk's called him, and he was in the office a week later, and I'm going to summarize this really quick because this is a really awesome story. Target owed me about $300,000, but they were on net 90 terms. So I wasn't getting paid for another 90 days. And my manufacturer, who makes my stuff, called me and said, Josh, we need to settle the bill. I need $100,000 in 48 hours. I can't pay my staff. It's affecting our company now. I don't know. And he's never made a call like this. So I knew, shit, this is it. All right, I have 48 hours. Come up with $100,000. So I went through all my normal things, called all my normal people, and there was nothing. And so talk about a spiraling moment. That was a big one, because all of a sudden it wasn't about just me paying a bill. Now it was affecting multiple families. That's the stuff that really rocks me at my core, because I take it so personal. It's like, all right, this is beyond me now. I have to fix this. So anyways, Dirks came in the office. We had this, I told him the whole story, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, full transparency. And at the end, I remember he said, well, what do you guys need right now? Like, what's the company need? And I said, I need $100,000 in 48 hours. And I would like to raise another $900 by the end of the year. He's like, all right. We go about the rest of the meeting. I take him over to our warehouse. And in true nature, what I expected, which happens a lot, is, hey man, it's great to meet you. If there's anything you need, just let me know. No. That dude tapped my shoulder and said, tomorrow we'll have the 100 and we'll figure the rest out later. And then he walked out of the room. And I broke down in that moment, because it wasn't even the dollar amount. It was just the fact that, okay, it's almost like these tentpole moments that keep you going in entrepreneurship. It's like 90% getting your teeth busted in, and then 10% of like a reminder of why you're doing it. And that was one of those moments. And it created like a different energy in me. And then in full disclosure, without naming the amount, he ended up that year coming in and investing a lot more in the company. And it was a magic moment. It was one of those moments that, when you think that you're at the very end and you're about to shut down, things tend to happen when you don't quit. And it was an amazing story, like how it all happened for me, just being like, what if I call this guy and see if here's what I said to his manager. She goes, what are you thinking? I go, if he and I can be friends, I think we could do some fun stuff. So if he wants to come in and meet me, let's see where it goes. And 3 days later, he was there. I've always led with that first. Like, let's be humans first, and then we can do fun things. And I think if we're not using that filter, then ego can put you in really bad situations. But anyways, so that was a fundraise that I feel like I learned a lot, and actually came at a time where I thought we were going to go out of business too. So
everything happens for a reason. That roller coaster.
Yeah.
So questions for both of you. I think when you mentioned that you were going through the stuff with your dad, did you say you had a girlfriend at the time?
I did.
So I always like to talk about how does the family, your significant others, what is that relationship like? Because I think we forget about those people. We're so focused on ourselves and just trying to survive that we forget about those closest to us and how they might be handling it and how your relationship with them is going. So kind of want to hear from you guys what that was in your world.
Yeah, on my side, that was a complete casualty. Yeah, I mean, didn't handle that one correctly. It's definitely one of my bigger regrets in life. I wasn't equipped to handle that situation, and I hope she's happy now. I know she's married with kids. It was I couldn't handle myself, more or less someone else. And like I said, I had about a year where I wasn't a very good person. I own it.
Did you own it during that time?
Oh yeah, owned it during that time, and that was one of the breaking points where I knew I needed to get help.
Yeah.
Therapy, all the types of things. I've been through everything. I got a men's group as well. A lot turned a lot to religion, which many people do when they go through an event like that. That was a blunder, for sure, and a casualty of my life.
Well, I think it's admirable that you were able to admit it to her during that process. I think the only reason that Chris, my amazing husband back there, is with me is because even after the meltdowns that I would have, I would come up the next morning and say, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to get help, and I worked really hard at it. So I think that was the reason that I was able to salvage him. How about you, Josh?
Well, we worked together for 4 years at Liberty Mutual every day. So we kind of had almost like this, my wife and I, this working dynamic. And then I went and did the real estate stuff. And then she actually worked full time in WithCo the first 3.5 years. We raised our our first daughter, and like on warehouse boxes. We would build like a little structure that our daughter couldn't get out of and just put her in there, and like that's how it started. So it was nice for her to know what I was leaving to go do every day was something that was familiar for her. And I think we were fortunate enough to have that. It can feel almost isolating when you carry your battles every day and then you can go home with somebody that can't meet you in the weight you're carrying. So that was great. I would say as it went through those tough seasons, I like to isolate and take things on my own. And as a result, that's hard for like feminine energy in a man and his wife to like meet in that moment and be there. Instead it was like, oh, we're good, everything's fine. Once I got into this group on Thursday and just started to learn the things that I wasn't taught when I was little. I was taught that glad is the best attitude in this household. And this group taught me that like sad, fear, shame, guilt, lonely, anger, hurt are all things in us. And once I learned to kind of access those, then I could meet her and be like, hey, this is what I'm carrying. Then she joined the same group, but with a bunch of women, and then she kind of learned that language, and we were able to kind of come home at the end of the day instead of being like, I'm just tired, I need a drink. Instead it was like, man, this is what I'm carrying. And we're able to use these words that we all know. And I think the business, as the business was almost infecting me as an individual, was also infecting the marriage. And I think had we not gone to learn how to process our emotions separately and then come together as a unit, I actually think it would have ended our marriage as well. So it was just one of those moments where, we had to turn to healing and nervous system regulation and start learning what do we do with all these feelings and how do we operate as partners in those. And so that was the best thing that I think changed things for us, is getting healthy allowed us to carry the weight of the business and just parenting collectively.
So in talking about the highs and the dopamine hits and these fast growing businesses, it's really hard to put boundaries on personal life and what you're doing every day. Were you able to set any of those? Maybe now you have after you've reflected, but if you do, what are those?
I don't have them still. I mean, it's just.
I love it. I love the honesty.
I don't believe that. I don't know if you can build a startup and have that complete cutoff. I think if you can be present and you can do things like, but I don't know if you're not eating, breathing, sleeping it. Like, I mean, our world and Paige, our world is so hard in that I don't know. I don't think that exists. Like, I hope at one point there will be a time where I can cut it off and be like, I'm present. And we, when we go on vacation, like, I have a girlfriend now. She has 2 little ones, so we take them to Disney World. And when we're at Disney World, I don't check my phone all day long. I don't take calls. But it's not like my mind is 24/7 on the business. Yeah. And I think that it's probably unhealthy, but it's also like, it's the nature of the beast of what we do, because we're the last line of defense. Entrepreneurs are the last line of defense. You essentially take all the shit from everybody, and you're the one that has to deal with the shit. Whether doesn't matter what type of business it is. So, what's the saying? Heavy is who wears the crown. Like, that is the nature of it. The payoff is hopefully the ultimate payoff, where there's financial benefit or whatever benefit you're working towards. But yeah, like, we don't have the luxury. If you want to clock out from 5 to 9, you should get a corporate job. It's just that's the honesty of what it is. But if you want to sell a company for $100 million and you get a nice chunk of that, there's payoffs with everything. You just try to do your best to juggle it, for sure.
So Michael Bertram, I think, said that you'll know when your business is successful when you can take 3 weeks off and never have to check it.
100%. Yeah.
So you just have to wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, none of my businesses are at that point yet. They're close. I think some of my time, my team wishes I took 3 weeks off. But yeah, no, it's an everyday juggle for sure.
When you said boundaries, I think the thing that came up for me was like the guardrails of discipline that I have to put on myself to even be able to protect myself, to show up to those things better. So for me, it's like, if I every single day I have to do some level of breath work, which is just a modality around breathing that regulates my nervous system. It kind of clears my head. I have to do that every day, even if it's for 30 seconds in the car, just to there's a part of your brain that's just fight or flight all day long. It's just keeping you alive, and it's exhausting. And just breathing to bring like a sense of peace and calm, even for a second. Like, sometimes even before I go in to my house at night with my family, I'll just center myself, because I know if I go in and fight or flight, everything will agitate me. So that's huge to me. Sometimes, I mean, honestly, I work out every single day, mainly for the mental side of it, just to have something that can calm me for a little bit. Going to the men's group, going out to this retreat. I'm going first week of July, taking about 12 guys out there. It's just those things have to be first, or else everything else will pull me down. It'll keep me in this anxious fight or flight mentality. I think what I felt when the business started going chaotic, those feelings are still here. It wasn't about making them go away. It was just about protecting my peace, so then they can be there, but my priority is me first. Like, I'm gonna go in and have to deal with a bunch of stuff today, but by being here, talking about this stuff, being aware of it, now I can go in and say, all right, y'all, all this stuff was waiting, but I feel a lot more regulated walking into it versus getting up, running out the door, and immediately going into this. Like, of course we need to medicate, of course we need to drink, of course we need to do things that aren't good for us, just because we're trying to. That's the unhealthy way of regulating our nervous system, where really we're just shutting it down. And so for me, I would say those are them. It's just protecting these non-negotiables in my life. I mean, Robbie and I were joking about it, not joking, but talking about it. Like, for me, it was learning a little bit about psychedelic medicine and the use cases of that actually helped me get more into my body and into myself to help me regulate stuff. And it's becoming more of a popular thing. But just for me, it was all about seeking. Like, if I feel this way, why do I? I want to know why my brain works the way it does. Am I actually messed up here in the way I think? Oh no, I'm actually not. That's how my brain was wired. I can change the way my brain is wired through thought, feeling, and action. So whenever I get in a funk, I'm like, all right, let me change something I'm doing today to get back to stillness and calmness in myself. And to me, it's the best medicine. Like, I should be on a lot of medicine, and I don't have a problem with people on medicine, but for me, it was like, it doesn't heal the source, it silences it. And I'm like, I actually want to feel all my anxiety, but I want to have tools to understand it to where it doesn't overtake me. And it's almost like a full-time job, but I'm like, if you're gonna work out your muscles, like spend time working out your brain and your nervous system, so then you can be a better spouse, you can be a better leader, you can be a better entrepreneur, you can just survive the day sometimes, survive a moment, just by getting in the body and not grabbing things around us to stay, I guess, medicated, cell phone, alcohol, etc.
Does anybody have any questions, comments?
I like questions.
I just want to say, the fact that you guys are both working with musicians, I think it's as something, and whiskey, which, it's a great combination, but hearing your stories were really powerful.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Especially the journey that, to what you were saying, it doesn't always look the same when you get there, and the expectation and all that.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Yeah. The entertainment industry, beverage industry, that's tough.
There's more days where I wake up and I'm like, I wish I was, and again, this is just my perspective, I wish I was just driving somewhere to just do something till 5 and then driving home.
You have those days
And then
for
like
sure.
a few moments later, you're like, no, I'm psycho enough to do all this stuff because I was doing that and I thought this is, everything you ever wanted.
Grass is always greener, right?
Being an
Every
entrepreneur
moment.
is its own mental illness.
Oh my gosh. Like reading those stats, I was like, oh man, I feel a lot better about the things that I go through.
That's why I put them up.
Thank you. I need to send me a screenshot. Yeah. Thank you.
I guess cliche question to wrap this up. What does success look like to you now? Let me rephrase. What are your main values that you'll make decisions off of now to help you be successful, whether that's personally, professionally, or both?
I would say, I can jump in on this. I'm going to answer both of them. I think for me, the success is peace in the mind and heart. Everything else, I think, if that's not the focus, then everything else that I put in that space, then those things are the things that suffer.
Peace meaning like calmness?
Yeah, and for me, it's like I have to do things to get to that peace. So success wouldn't be for me like, oh, when you wake up, you just feel peace. It's actually like, no, getting to a place where you can bring peace into the moment, into your life, by cutting everything else out. I mean, I've met a lot of wealthy people, and the only thing they really want is just be able to feel some peace in their life, just slow their mind, slow their body, slow their heart rate. So that would be it. I think values for me are pretty simple. It's family, health, community, freedom of time, and giving back. I stole those from somebody. So
I think success is just freedom. Freedom to, whether it's to do what you want, afford what you want, just that freedom of not having to answer to people. It's like going back to VCs are, I think sometimes can be a terrible thing because they don't, you trade a boss for a boss, right? Eventually when you raise capital for them. But just freedom. I've always had this, I have a daily planner, and every time it's like, what is your major win in life? It's like freedom, just to, make your own decisions, set your own schedule. That stuff, those simple things that we should be able to do on a daily basis, we likely most time cannot. Whether you have to take a call here, go to a meeting there, do whatever it is, like the more success you have, I think the more freedom you have. And some people call it FU money or FU time. It's like, but the ability to choose your path is, I think, an ultimate success for me.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. You're amazing. Love all the stories.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Advice.
Thank you for doing this. It's probably more beneficial for us than it is for you guys.
Yeah,
but,
that felt good.
But this is a serious topic, and thank you for making a platform for it. Cool.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys, for coming.
I do have a survey. If you don't mind taking a few seconds to take that, I'd be very appreciative. You'll also get it in an email right after this, and then I'll follow up with, again, another link to the survey and some insights from today and the recording. Thank you.
Oh, it says how engaging were the speakers.
0. There's a 0 out there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Don't leave without pictures.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
If you go first.